My name is Charles Warrior. I'm 44 years old. I work as Chief Operating Officer for a tech company called iGov Africa. I am a dad, a husband and a dad. So I remember it was a weekend and I had a bit of a flu. So you know, always previously my flus have turned out into a cough. For some reason, once the flu is fading away, you get into a sore throat and then a cough. And this one started like that. It was a normal flu. And what happens mostly when I see it going into a cough, I take an antibiotic. You know, as ordinary with many Kenyans, we self-treat. Come Friday, having coughed since Monday, my cough was getting worse. So I jokingly asked my wife, why don't we try test for COVID? This thing could be COVID for all you know. So we called the medical team and they come and do a test on Friday morning, and they say, look, after 24 hours, so this results will come out on Saturday morning. So around 10, I check my email and voila, in the email, there's an email from Medanta. So I do my crucifix and I say, look, before you open this thing, I hope it's negative. And bang, they actually wrote the positive in red, in bold red. COVID positive. And you know, I froze. At around 4, I started feeling a chill. So I told them, guys, why don't I just go lie down for like 20 minutes because I'm feeling I'm a bit tired. Getting to the door, I was completely out of energy. So I struggled to climb the stairs. I was like, wow, I'm a bit tired. I get into the door, I didn't get to the bed. I got into the door and I just lost my breath. So I couldn't breathe at all, you know. So I turned back, my wife was sitting in the sitting room and I call her and I tell her, we have to go to the hospital now because I feel like I'm dying. And she's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, I feel like I'm dying. Let's just drive now. So we didn't know where we're going to go. But then instantly she figured, let's go to Coptic. And we rushed to Coptic. And, you know, as we were still waiting there, I just told her, just tell the medical team I can't breathe. Luckily, the person on the teller allowed us to go into the ER. And then Sarah can be put on oxygen as she do the admin work, you know. So I was given a bed, put on oxygen, and then they took my blood pressure. The first time the doctor, it was a nurse, he took it, he got scared. It was like, whoa, is that your BP? My BP was 177. And then he calls my wife and he tells her, this guy is about to go into cardiac arrest. You know, if we don't give him medicine now, he's going to go to cardiac arrest, he's going to die here. And I could feel like life was oozing out. I mean, I'd given up. At that particular point, I'd given up. So I said my prayers. I said, God, you know, it's been real, you know. Yeah, and then I had a moment of sadness right there because then, when we were leaving for hospital, we didn't tell the other family members that we were in the house. My son, my daughter, we didn't tell them we were going to the hospital. So we just left. And then it hit me. Geez, man, I'm going to die here. And I never said bye, you know, and then how is she going to go back and tell him, look, your dad is dead, you know, and he's 8 years old. And I just felt a heavy cloud just weighing me down. I was in tears, saying, look, this is not how I'd seen myself going. The oxygen they give you in the ER is emergency oxygen. It comes with a small cylinder, and then so when you move with it. The first time it was because I was feeling so bad, so it was a bit of a big relief when they put it there. I was like, oh, I can breathe, but I was still gasping, like I needed a lot of it. And then so when my wife was done with the admission procedure, the first thing was for us to go for CT scan. So because I couldn't walk, I was put on a wheelchair. For some reason, I was just out of strength. So I was put on a wheelchair, and then they wheeled me into the place for the CT scan. I dragged myself and put myself on a scan. The scan was very quick. After that, you know, they read it quickly, and the doctor said, "Look, your lung is 50% affected by COVID." And then after that, I was put on an ambulance and taken to the COVID center. At that particular point, I had reconciled myself that this is it. This is how I'm going out, and you know, I'm ready. First night I couldn't sleep. I figured, you know, we're always told that the angel of death comes at night, and that it comes at 3 a.m. So I said, look, if I'm gonna die, let me watch it. Let me see it coming. Let me see it coming. But I do not want to wake up the next day dead. You know. So for 2 weeks, you know, it was a life of, you can't tell day and night because you have bouts of sleep, and then you're awake, and then there's movement. You know, and then of course there's the barrage of medicine that I was given, and the curiosity on what is being treated. And in fact, that's how I got to draw the chart. I drew a chart, my treatment chart, because whenever the nurses would come, at some point I had two stands with drips of medicine, you know, and I was like, what are all these medicines for? So each time they would bring medication, I would ask them, which one is that? And then I would write it down. And I would ask them, what is it going to do? And they would explain to me the function. And then I would plot it I'd drawn a picture of my lung, how I assume my lung looks like. And then I would sort of put it there and say, okay, so this one is Montelukast, and they said Montelukast is doing this, so I'm going to put it there. Just so I understand the medicine and what it's doing for me. It's still okay. Having a family member sick in hospital takes a toll on a family. One, also because, you know, like my son couldn't come see me, my daughter couldn't come see me, because the COVID center said you only allowed two visitors and they have to be family members. So it was my wife and my sister. Family and friends were there for me in the hospital. I totally appreciate it. They were stood with me in prayers, but also with financial support. One of the things that I must say is hospitalized treatment for COVID isn't cheap. Yes. Hospitalized treatment for COVID isn't cheap. And it's something that I pray that ordinary Kenyans who do not have medical cover, you know, I pray that they don't go through it, because it's not cheap. Being on oxygen will cost you not less than 6,000 shillings per day. Treatments cost lots of money. The medicine alone, within those 2 weeks, was over $500,000. They would charge me for PPE, you know, per day at about 4,000 shillings per day for PPE. And they would charge you for everything. They charge you for syringes, you know, and all that. And then of course they will charge you for the doctors and the nurses, and then they will charge you for the room, you know. So you're charged for everything. So hospitalized COVID treatment is not for ordinary people. Interesting how people are just. So there was a financial toll on us, and friends came through. Friends came through with contributions, you know, that helped us to meet some of those expenses. Otherwise, you know, it would have been a different case. You know, because they helped us to top up the bill. I would urge everyone, if you know you can't hack it, don't get COVID. Yeah, don't get COVID, you know. And many people died. I mean, I was in a hospital for 2 weeks. And for 2 weeks, you know, you'd hear the person in the neighboring room was taken to the ICU, didn't make it. You know, lots of guys. I would whenever I would step out, I would see a hearse that's come to pick a body, and there were hearses every single day coming to pick people who died.
And every night I almost couldn't sleep because I was wondering if my dad would make it or not.
Yeah, isn't it? But you also had faith, and you prayed for him a lot, all the time, every day. That helped, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
COVID is lethal. COVID kills. As a person, I never imagined myself I would get COVID. I was very cautious, you know, always on my mask when leaving the house. I tried to avoid public places as much as I could. But I still got COVID. you know. And even when I got COVID, I didn't know I had COVID until I was coughing. And if I didn't go to the hospital on that evening of June 26th, I was going to die here in the house. In fact, that thing that took me to lie down, later on when I was talking to the doctor told me that was COVID. That COVID weighs you down, it creates fatigue so that you can lie down, so that it can spread quickly. So it always wants you to lie down, you know, tired, and then it spreads. The more tired you are and you're lying down, the quicker it spreads through the lungs and then kills you. And a lot of Kenyans are not aware that the COVID has mutated. It's becoming a silent killer. It sneaks in, wants to go straight for the lungs. You know, a lot of Kenyans are self-medicating. I was doing the same. I was on zinc. I was on herbs. I was on bichams. I was on everything, but I was aiding it. So instead of me going for my proper treatment, it went straight in my lungs. And once it gets into your lungs, the game changes. But what I'll tell Kenyans out there is, this thing is not a joke. This thing is real. This thing is killing. It's ravaging. If you visit facilities are packed. Where I was, it was completely packed. There was a night, all the patients in the ICU died. You know, but by the time the doctor came to see me in the morning, he was distraught. It was like, Charles, I've had a busy night trying to save lives, and none of them, they all died. In the ICU, they all died. And it wasn't because oxygen failure, because there was some machine that wasn't working, no. Their bodies just couldn't fight the COVID.